What does a typical Vietnamese dinner consist of? Is it similar to the dinner you eat in your country? Hello everyone, my name is Diane. I am 27 years old, and my current job is creating content about my daily life and everyday experiences here in Vietnam. Everything you see in my videos is real. Nothing is scripted or staged. I simply share my life as it is. Today, I will take you into my kitchen and show you what a typical Vietnamese dinner looks like. I will prepare an ordinary meal that many people in Vietnam enjoy after a long day of work. As we cook together, I will also share what this meal costs, what Vietnamese families usually eat for dinner, and what daily life is really like in Vietnam today. If you ask 10 Vietnamese people whether a man should cook, you might hear 10 different answers. Some will smile and say, "Of course, cooking is a basic life skill." Others may still joke, "The kitchen belongs to women." But the truth about modern Vietnam is much more interesting than those stereotypes. Today, I want to share what I have personally observed as a Vietnamese person. If you are watching this from another country, this is what life really looks like in Vietnam. Many foreigners still imagine Vietnamese families based on old traditions. They think the father works outside while the mother cooks every meal at home. That picture did exist, especially in the past, but Vietnam has changed rapidly over the last few decades. Nowadays, in big cities like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, both husbands and wives usually work full-time. They leave home early in the morning, spend the whole day at work, and return home tired in the evening. Because of that, cooking is no longer automatically considered a woman and appo's responsibility. Whoever gets home first often starts preparing dinner. Sometimes the husband cooks while the wife washes the dishes. Sometimes they switch roles. In many young families, no one even thinks it is unusual. Of course, traditional ideas still exist. In some older generations, people may believe that a woman should know how to cook well because taking care of the family has long been associated with mothers and wives. You may occasionally hear someone joking that a man who spends too much time in the kitchen is, and quote, helping his wife, end quote. But younger Vietnamese increasingly see things differently. Many young men today actually enjoy cooking. Some cook because they want to save money. Some enjoy making healthy meals. Others simply want to take care of the people they love. For them, cooking is not about proving masculinity or losing it. It is simply a useful skill. If you walk through a Vietnamese supermarket in the evening, you will see plenty of men pushing shopping carts, choosing vegetables, buying meat, and discussing dinner with their families. In traditional markets, it is also common to see husbands stopping by after work to buy fresh ingredients before going home. During holidays like Lunar New Year, many men actively participate in preparing traditional dishes. Families gather together to wrap bánh chưng, prepare pork, clean vegetables, and cook for hours. Everyone has a role. The kitchen becomes a place where generations spend time together rather than a place reserved only for women. Interestingly, some of Vietnam and appo's most famous chefs are men. Many successful restaurants across the country are led by male chefs who have dedicated their lives to cooking. No one questions their masculinity because they work in a kitchen. Instead, people respect their talent, creativity, and hard work. This shows something important. Cooking itself has never belonged to one gender. Society simply assigned different expectations over time. I think one reason some stereotypes still remain is because many Vietnamese families grew up with clearly divided responsibilities. Fathers earned money while mothers stayed home. That system worked for many families in the past because the economy and lifestyle were completely different. But today reality is changing. Women pursue careers. Men spend more time with their children. Families become more equal. As responsibilities become shared, cooking naturally becomes something both partners do together. Personally, I believe every adult should know how to cook at least a few simple meals. Not because they want to impress anyone, not because society expects it, but because independence is valuable. Imagine living alone in another city or another country. If you cannot cook even basic food, you become dependent on restaurants every single day. Cooking saves money, improves health, and gives you confidence. Some people even discover that cooking is relaxing. After a stressful day, preparing a bowl of noodle soup or frying a simple meal can become a peaceful moment. It allows you to slow down, think, and enjoy creating something with your own hands.
Hay Tân lên mạng đi tìm xem chỗ nào nó thuê người mẫu ảnh.
Social media has also changed attitudes. On Vietnamese YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook, there are countless male content creators sharing cooking videos. Some live alone. Some are students. Some are office workers. Millions of people watch them not because they are men cooking, but because the food looks delicious and their stories feel genuine. This would have been much less common 20 years ago. If you visit Vietnam, do not be surprised if your male tour guide recommends his favorite noodle recipe, if your male friend cooks dinner for everyone, or if you see fathers preparing breakfast while their children get ready for school. That is increasingly becoming part of everyday Vietnamese life. Does that mean every Vietnamese family thinks the same way? No. Vietnam has nearly 100 million people. Rural areas and cities can have different lifestyles. Older and younger generations often have different opinions. Every family has its own traditions. But one thing is clear, the idea that, and quote, real men do not cook, and quote, is becoming less and less common. More Vietnamese people now judge a person by their character rather than by whether they stand in the kitchen. To me, a man who cooks is not weak. He is not less masculine. He is not doing something unusual. He is simply taking care of himself and the people he loves. At the end of the day, food has an incredible ability to bring people together. Around the dinner table, nobody remembers who chopped the vegetables or who stirred the soup. What people remember is the conversation, the laughter, and the feeling of being together. Maybe that is the real purpose of cooking. Not to prove whether it is a man in Apos, S job, or a woman in Apos, S job, but to create a home where everyone feels cared for. And perhaps that is the Vietnam I hope more people around the world can understand. Not a country trapped in old stereotypes, but a country that respects tradition while slowly embracing a more equal and practical way of life. How much do you think a dinner in Vietnam costs? When many foreigners think about Vietnam, they often imagine one thing: cheap food. They see videos online showing a bowl of noodles for $2, a sandwich for $1, or a cup of Vietnamese coffee that costs less than what they would pay back home. then they ask a simple question, and quote, "If food is so inexpensive, how much does a typical Vietnamese family actually spend on dinner? And what is life really like in Vietnam today?" End quote. Well, let me show you what an ordinary evening looks like. It is around 6:00 in Apos clock. The streets begin to fill with motorbikes as millions of people finish work and head home. Small food stalls become crowded. Local markets are still busy with people buying vegetables, pork, fish, eggs, tofu, and fresh herbs before returning home. Dinner is one of the most important meals of the day in Vietnam. Unlike breakfast, which many people quickly eat on the way to work, dinner is usually when the whole family gathers together. Parents come home from work, children return from school, and everyone sits around the same table. But how much does that meal cost? For a person living alone who cooks at home, a simple dinner might cost between 30,000 and 70,000 Vietnamese dong, roughly $1 to $3. A meal could include a bowl of rice, stir-fried vegetables, a small piece of fish or pork, and a simple soup. Nothing luxurious, but fresh, balanced, and filling. For a family of 4 cooking at home, the total cost of dinner is often around 150,000 and 300,000 Vietnamese dong, or approximately $6 to $12, depending on where they live and what they choose to eat. Some evenings they buy chicken. Other days they eat fish, tofu, eggs, or seasonal vegetables that are less expensive. Many Vietnamese families do not eat expensive food every day. Instead, they focus on fresh ingredients and home-cooked meals. Of course, eating outside costs more. A bowl of traditional noodle soup, a plate of rice with grilled pork, or a bowl of beef pho usually costs somewhere between 40,000 and 80,000 Vietnamese dong in many cities, although prices can be higher in tourist areas or upscale restaurants. For many office workers, buying dinner after work is convenient, especially if they are busy. However, cooking at home remains popular because it saves money and allows families to spend time together. One thing many foreigners notice is how often Vietnamese people shop for fresh food. Instead of buying groceries for an entire week, many families still visit local markets almost every day. Fresh vegetables, fresh fish, fresh herbs, fresh meat. This daily routine is still common, especially among older generations. Now let us talk about the economy. If you only watch travel videos, you might think Vietnam is either extremely poor or suddenly very rich. The truth is somewhere in between. Vietnam has changed dramatically over the past few decades. Modern highways connect major cities. New apartment buildings continue to rise. International companies invest here. Shopping malls, coffee shops, and convenience stores appear everywhere. Millions of people now own smartphones, motorcycles, and household appliances that were once considered luxury items. The economy has grown rapidly, creating many opportunities for education, business, and employment. But that does not mean everyone is wealthy. Like every country, Vietnam has different income levels. Some people work in offices with comfortable salaries. Others run small family businesses. Many factory workers work long hours to support their families. Farmers continue producing rice, vegetables, fruit, and seafood that feed both the country and export markets. Life is improving, but many people still work very hard for every dollar they earn. That is one reason Vietnamese people tend to avoid wasting food. Every meal represents the effort of someone. Someone planted the vegetables. Someone caught the fish. Someone worked all day to earn the money that paid for dinner. Saving money is still an important habit for many families. Even people with stable incomes often compare prices, look for discounts, and avoid unnecessary spending. Not because they cannot afford more, but because previous generations taught them the value of being careful with money. Housing is another interesting part of modern Vietnamese life. In large cities like Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, apartment prices have increased significantly in recent years. Young couples often spend years saving before buying their first home. Some continue living with their parents for a period of time to reduce expenses while building their future. Transportation is relatively affordable. Motorcycles remain the most common way to travel, allowing people to move quickly through busy streets. Public transportation is also improving in several major cities.
Làm gì làm để bếp này anh ngồi quay.
When people ask me whether Vietnam is an easy place to live, I always give the same answer. Life here is comfortable for many people, but it is not effortless. Most Vietnamese work hard. Many wake up before sunrise. Some small business owners open their shops at 5 or 6 in the morning. Street food vendors begin preparing ingredients while the city is still quiet. Office workers spend long hours commuting. Parents balance work with raising children. Students study late into the night hoping to create better opportunities for themselves. Behind the image of inexpensive food is a society built on determination and persistence. Perhaps that is why family dinners remain so meaningful. After an entire day of work, people finally sit down together. They talk about school. They discuss work. They laugh. Sometimes they simply enjoy a peaceful meal without saying much at all. That moment matters more than the price of the food, because dinner is not only about eating, it is about coming home. So, how much do Vietnamese people spend on dinner? For many families, somewhere between 6 and 12 United States dollars is enough to prepare a complete meal for everyone. Some spend less, some spend much more. It depends on their income, where they live, and their lifestyle. But the most valuable part of dinner cannot be measured in money. It is the feeling of sharing a table with the people you love. If you ever have the chance to visit Vietnam, do not judge the country only by the price of a bowl of pho or a cup of coffee. Look at the people. Watch how families gather in the evening. See the busy local markets. Notice the workers returning home after a long day. That is the real Vietnam, a country that continues to grow economically while still holding on to the simple tradition of ending each day with a warm meal shared together.
Bà mang đi bán, không thấy cháu xuống bà lại cắt không
Chú này phải ăn nhanh không nó lại chín quá.
mai nấu. Cái này cái gì cái này lên trên. một cái trong kia rồi. Có 3 cái bé như thế mà. Đây có hai cái. Để lại cái bé kia thôi. Cái này đỡ xước nhất thì để lại. Nó hay kia xước nhiều.
Vứt đi á.
Ui sao này để vào cái bát nhựa đây anh?
Ừ. Ăn xôi ngoài đường không sao.
Ăn sơ rồi rồi đấy nào.
Toàn kiêng vẫn.
Mồm. Thích ra cái mồm này gì?
Which country has the most affordable dinner? Is it your country or is it Vietnam? Asterisk asterisk. Every time I read the comments on my videos, I notice something interesting. People from different countries often compare food prices. Someone from the United States says that cooking dinner for a family can cost 20 or 30 United States dollars. Someone from Europe says groceries have become much more expensive than they were a few years ago. Someone from Australia says eating at a restaurant is now considered an occasional treat rather than an everyday habit. Then many of them ask me the same question, and quote, "How much does dinner cost in Vietnam?" And quote, "That is exactly what I want to show you today. But before we compare prices, let us compare something even more important, the way people eat. In many Western countries, dinner often consists of bread, pasta, steak, pizza, hamburgers, roasted chicken, salad, or mashed potatoes. Families usually buy groceries once a week from a supermarket, store everything in the refrigerator, and cook throughout the week. In Vietnam, life is a little different. Many families still enjoy buying fresh ingredients every day. Fresh vegetables from the local market, fresh fish, fresh pork, fresh herbs, fresh tofu. Instead of eating one large dish, a traditional Vietnamese dinner usually includes several smaller dishes shared by everyone at the table. There is almost always a bowl of rice, a vegetable dish, a meat or fish dish, and very often a light soup. It is simple, balanced, and made to be shared. Now let us talk about the cost. If you cook at home in Vietnam, one person can often prepare a satisfying dinner for only 1 to 3 United States dollars. A family of 4 can usually enjoy a complete homemade meal for around 6 to 12 United States dollars, depending on the ingredients and where they live. Of course, some families spend more, others spend less. It depends on income, personal preference, and lifestyle. Now compare that with many developed countries. In some places, 6 to 12 United States dollars may only be enough for one person to order a meal at a restaurant. For an entire family, dinner can easily cost several times more. Does that mean Vietnam is the cheapest country in the world? Not necessarily. Price alone does not tell the whole story. Every country has different salaries, different living costs, different taxes, and different housing expenses. A meal that feels inexpensive to one person may feel expensive to another depending on how much they earn. That is why simply converting prices into United States dollars does not always give the full picture. What really matters is the relationship between income and daily living expenses. Still, one thing surprises many visitors when they come to Vietnam. They discover that fresh food is widely available. Local markets are full of vegetables, fruit, meat, seafood, and herbs every morning. Many people can prepare healthy meals without spending a fortune. Perhaps that is one reason why cooking at home remains an important part of Vietnamese culture. Dinner is not just about saving money. It is about spending time together. Parents ask their children about school. Grandparents tell stories. Family members laugh and share food from the same dishes. That feeling is difficult to measure with money. So which country has the most affordable dinner? The answer depends on how you measure it. If you only compare the price printed on the receipt, Vietnam is certainly one of the more affordable places to enjoy a home-cooked meal. But if you compare quality of life, income, and purchasing power, every country has its own advantages and challenges. Perhaps the better question is not, and quote, where is dinner the cheapest? And quote, perhaps the better question is, and quote, where does dinner bring people together? And quote, for me, the best dinner is not the most expensive one. It is not even the cheapest one. It is the meal that lets you sit with the people you love after a long day, share stories, enjoy simple food, and appreciate another ordinary evening. Now I would love to hear from you. Where are you watching from? How much does a typical family dinner cost in your country? Let us compare our cultures and learn from one another in the comments below.
Xong rồi anh nấu bếp và
Sao?
sao gì không có ủa không bắt tay hướng như
Anh đang
nào
quay video ấy. Đừng ấy.
quay video phải để lên tiếng.
Every country has its own culture, its own traditions, and its own way of bringing people together around the dinner table. There is no single answer to which country has the best or the most affordable dinner. What matters most is the people sitting around the table and the memories created while sharing a meal. Now I have a question for you. Where are you watching from? How much does a typical family dinner cost in your country? Do you think dinner is more affordable in your country or in Vietnam? I would love to hear your opinion. Feel free to share your experience in the comments below. You can also reply to other viewers and compare the cost of living in different countries. Let us have a friendly discussion and learn from one another.
Xem xong khóc à? Xem xong khóc à?
Thank you very much for watching this video and spending your time with me today. I truly appreciate every view, every comment, and every person who supports this channel. If you enjoy discovering everyday life in Vietnam through honest and authentic experiences, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you will not miss future videos. Thank you once again for being here. I hope to see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day and take care.
Cái dương biếu á hay táo nhưng mà bảo ai bố tao biếu bà á.
Như này mà đã hơi cay rồi.